In this video, we're going to talk about different ways you can pivot into the world of business analysis work. No matter what your background is, there are going to be pieces of advice you can follow and implement in this video. I'll get into my background as it comes up, but let's get started. The first piece of advice I saw for pivoting is basically finding a role at a startup. Depending on what your background is, you could potentially leverage whatever background you have and start off in a startup company where you tend to wear a bunch of hats anyway, and you could leverage your programmer background, and you may have business analyst duties in your otherwise programmer role, or you can use your background to pitch yourself as a starter business analyst in a startup role, in a startup company. Though I feel like most companies, most startups do want experienced people in the roles that they are set up. Some are probably more willing to give somebody a chance who is just starting out, again, if they have the right background otherwise that could still be useful for the company. If you have programmer skills, if you have data analysis skills, if you have whatever other skills, you could still be useful for a startup company while you're learning your business analytics skills. But overall, from my experience, because I have tried to apply to startup companies as a business or data analyst, I don't think they really take you seriously if you don't have experience already. I have 2 years of what is data analyst experience, just in a different framing of operations analysis, and I haven't really got hits yet. The only companies that have given me remotely any attention, aside from a rejection email, are mid to large companies. That's always been my experience, pretty much, with maybe one exception, and I bombed that interview. So I don't think startups are happening for me. Plus, I keep hearing the stereotypical startup experience of burning people out at a startup, because a lot of companies, a lot of startups, their strategy is you start off super heavy, work really hard, work 10 to 12 hour days, 6 days a week. And if that's what said startup company wants from me, I respect my work-life balance too much for that, I'm afraid. So there's a startup. It could work out if you're willing to get into the startup culture. One thing to consider is the fact that business analysis as a role is less about data analytics skills, more about translating messy stakeholder needs into testable requirements that you can pass on to developers and other professionals that survive contact with integration. So requirements that actually you still hold up once you implement them into whatever system or systems your company already has. So that's the big thing the business analyst does. Many roles will integrate data analytics into that role, but the big thing that makes the business analyst truly stand out is that ability to listen to stakeholders, gather up all their messy requirements, and translate that into requirements that, again, fit whatever systems at the company. So if you want to develop that skill on your own, if you can't find a company right now that wants to hire you, you can build that skill on your own by creating a BRD or equivalent problem statement with assumptions and non-goals. So basically create your own scenario. It's called a problem statement. And then you want to, for that problem statement, you're essentially creating a whole project here, but nothing crazy. It's still a small project. You want to create user stories with acceptance criteria. Look up what that is. My degree, I studied this. I worked on user stories for different situations, so that makes sense to me. Also create simple process maps for the problem that you're trying to make a solution for. And then you want to have a traceability approach, so even a spreadsheet, so changes are explainable. So you want to have a plan to track all the changes that do end up being made in your project and show that you can document those well. Then decide the domain you're targeting. So when you are looking for business analyst roles, you're going to there are different kind of types of business analysts. There are IT BAs, so they're business analysts who are in the IT department of a company who are working on IT projects. More broad as far as what kind of projects you're actually working on, or general IT. Anything under the IT umbrella could be something you end up working on. Keep in mind, I'm not an expert, so I'm sorry if I get something wrong here, but you could also go down the product route, which personally I'd want to go down. So product, user experience, projects that use that product language, that product framework, that's a different group of business analysts, and you could go down that path. And the third one is a project business analyst. So there are so a company, you may not necessarily be under an IT department, but you're still working on computer-based projects because you're most likely still doing a lot of computer work, but you're doing some kind of project for a company. You're working on, as you are working at the company, you're working on a series of projects, and you're just a business analyst for that work, for the requirement gather and transforming work. You're that business analyst, just not necessarily in an IT department per se. It's not ideal if you're pivoting, if you already have experience, but another option is going to get an entry-level role. Even then, I'm struggling personally to get any traction for any business analyst role, even the ones listed as entry level that require 2 years of data analysis experience or claim you can come in as a clean slate. I haven't had much luck with them. The one interview I had recently, like, that company put the position on hold, so that was great. But that is an option too, to try and find an entry-level role, especially a role that says junior business analyst or even a temp business analyst, as long as they're not looking for a super experienced business analyst, because many temp roles are looking for an experienced business analyst. You can get your start in a temp position or a junior position. The temp position won't give you health insurance and such, and a junior position will be lower paid than you might have been used to before you wanted to make this pivot, but it's a way to get you in the door and gain that business analysis experience. In the startup situation, you could try to find a role that implements business analytic skills into a role that you do have experience with. Again, the example I keep using, programmer or a data analyst who does some of the business analyst work. You can go down that path too. I mentioned that I had a degree in what is UX design, user experience, human-computer interaction is what they call it. And that background, plus my experience in previous ops roles, like working with high-level stakeholders, and also operations analysis, because I was doing technology compliance analysis, that is a rare combination. You too, with whatever experience you actually have and whatever degree and background you have, you might have a rare experience set that you can really sell to potential hiring managers. So really look at your background, ask around if you need to. A good idea would be finding business analysts on LinkedIn and see what they say. See how you can really pitch your background. You can even find different recruiters, see if they're willing to give you advice on how best to really position yourself even potentially talk to a career coach, how to best position yourself to go into becoming a business analyst with the specific background you have. What's the best path forward for you? That would be a great thing to invest in one meeting for with a career coach. But if you were like me and you had a background of talking to high-level stakeholders and hearing what problems they have and taking that and creating a report or some kind of solution to their problem, that is requirements gathering, just in a different language. And there's ways to word that on your resume so you can really pitch your experience as, look, I am a business analyst already. It just looked kind of different in my last job, but I essentially was doing the same thing. You hear? I don't know why I turned into a New Jersey accent. Anyway, but yeah, in the world of business analysis, you want to get a certification to potentially help you if you're going to look at that. What they call the CBAP is the gold standard in this world, but it takes time, of course. So if you're like me and you're looking for a job and you need to get work as soon as possible, you can get a free IIBA membership and use that terminology on your resume, and that will do a fuck ton for you in the short term. So also, still, you should like a little project that you've already done the work. I should do that. Like tomorrow and Monday, I should work on a project. Maybe cut that. I forget. Depending on your background, that can help you figure out which kind of business analyst path you should be aiming for, or which makes the most sense to aim for. If you have less of a preference or unsure, really look at your path. Ask other business analysts how they think you could frame yourself as a business analyst, like what kind of business analyst work would be most suited to get into. For example, like with me with an UX background, it would be more so a business analyst who would take ambiguous stakeholder input and turn it into like user stories and workflows. I already have experience with that kind of work. While certifications may get you past the HR filtering, hiring managers care more about proof that you've done the kind of things that analysts are expected to do on a day-to-day. Like, care more about can you do the work rather than some special certification that HR might be familiar with, but the hiring manager doesn't give a crap about. It's kind of funny because I personally struggle to see use in creating a small project, because it felt like if you didn't do it in a job, like, managers don't care. But after seeing this advice, I guess more motivated to do just one small project, doing work that I'm already used to doing, a hypothetical problem, and a plan to solve that problem in a business analyst framework to show hiring managers I can do the work. If that really makes a difference, then I will freaking do it. Technical side of things, you could pivoting. Something you can work towards for pivoting into the business analyst world on the technical side of things is learning APIs and how to be an analyst on the design and implementation and testing an API, for example. Also, like the business side, learn business terminology, business knowledge in general, like payment messages, 20022, Swift, and so on. There are some pointing out that many companies are leaning on in other LLMs to do business analyst work, though AI is said to be a huge bubble, so I wouldn't assume that that's the case and just give up on business analyst work. Previously, I talked about temp roles, though the issue there too is, so that's it. There is hopefully helpful advice to you onto the path of becoming a great business analyst. My name's Lissette or Nyako. I make videos about the different questions that I have that I ask about on the internet, get answers, and then I give back to the community by sharing what I learned with you on this channel. I go over all sorts of random topics, from cats to neurodiversity to hearts to all sorts of different things. So if you like that kind of random chaos, subscribe, check out the video YouTube is going to suggest to you, and thank you so much for watching. Also, hi!